Good morning everyone, I'm Auntie Kara, but this video is not for kids. This is another edition of book reviews for grown-ups who love fairy tales. Today we are going to be talking about Patrick Rothfuss and The Narrow Road Between Desires, which is one of his, I think his newest book out. It is a novella based on the Kingkiller series, which is what he's so well known for. The Kingkiller series is The Name of the Wind and A Wise Man's Fear, as well as The Slow Regard of Silent Things, and I think there's another one that is very similar to this one called The Lightning Tree. But the Slow Regard of Silent Things is my all-time favorite book. I've read it 4 times. It's incredible. It's amazing, and it was the first book from him that I read, so it really started my love of Patrick Rothfuss all around. I really love this book. It was not as good as Slow Regard, but I mean, Slow Regard is my all-time favorite, so that's pretty high standards for me. However, it was so magical to spend time in that world again, and just like the writing style of Patrick Rothfuss it just feels like a warm hug, you know, when you have an author that you love, and you get to spend time in their brain again. It was amazing. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Super short. It's only like less than 250 pages, so it's not a big time commitment, and it's just a nice little, you know, spend a few days in a character's life kind of a book. This book follows Bast, who's kind of a fae-like creature sidekick of the main character in the series, and it gives you kind of a better look into his world and his personality, as well as the magic that is often alluded to, but not really gone into too much depth in the books. There is a lot of secrecy and a lot of, like, you know, things behind the curtain, so it was really neat to see kind of like the workings of that and how those spells work, and what the ultimate goal and ultimate results are. So Bast is this figure in this small town where he kind of stands at the lightning tree, which is this tree that's been struck by lightning and is on top of a hill, and it seems like all the children in the town know about him and know that he has a little bit of magic and he can help with things. So he'll just stand at the lightning tree and the children will come to him with different requests, and sometimes he can help them and sometimes he can't. Oftentimes he requires some sort of price, which can be as simple as, you know, bring me some flowers to tell me a secret, to, you know, you now owe your life to me kind of thing. So yeah, it's beautiful and pretty magical. There is some, you know, nudity. There's some beautiful drawings in this book. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's not great for teenagers, but it just depends what your comfort level is around nudity. It's definitely like fade to black kind of stuff, but there are some pictures with toplessness and stuff like that in there. So use your best judgment if you're using it for a young adult book. I definitely say it's more on the adult side of things, but you do you, whatever works for your family. I'm going to read you a couple passages from this book. I don't want to give too much away, although one of the things I love about this book and one of the things I love about Slow Regard is it's not a book that's rooted in conflict so much. Like, there's a little bit in here, challenges to be overcome and goals to be achieved, but for the most part it's just a few days in the life of this character. It's very stream of consciousness, very go with the flow kind of a read. So yeah, I'll give you a little taste here. The bark had long since fallen away, and the years of sun had bleached the bare wood white as bone, except for all along its ragged top. There, even after all these years, the wood was deep and jagged black. Trailing down the remaining trunk, the lightning had charred a wild, dark, forking image of itself into the bone-white wood, as if to sign its work. Bast reached out with his left hand, touching the smooth trunk with his fingertips, as he slowly walked a circle around the tree. He walked widdershins, turning against the world, the way of breaking 3 times. Then he switched hands and paced around the tree in the opposite direction, moving the same way as the turning sun. 3 slow circles, Diasil, the proper way for making. Thus he went, while the children watched, back and forth, as if the tree were a bobbin he was winding and unwinding. I just love that. This is a very witchy book. There's a lot of magic and, you know, witchy terminology and stuff in there. So if you have a little bit of witch in you, this will be a definite win in terms of something to capture your attention. Alright, here's passage number 2. Past was restless as he lay back on the grass against the lightning tree. He shifted, stood, and went to get a drink from the stream that wound around the bottom of the hill. Coming back to the top, he circled the tall, white broken tree, back and forth, winding and unwinding. He sat again uncomfortably, like a cat that's been rubbed backwards. He felt around inside himself and found what he knew would be true. The only obligations binding him were old, familiar things, most barely more than scars. Some few resembling wounds like old soldiers had. A shoulder that grew stiff with the cold, a knee that ached when rain was on the way. But nothing new. It was galling as he'd been pleased how tidily he slid from underneath the unexpected dangers of the day. So why then did he feel more turned against himself than ever, rucked up and dug a dozen ways? Finally he pulled out the leather sack. He stilled himself, closed his eyes, and pulled a full fist of embers, tossing them up with a fluid, flippant grace. He heard them hit the earth like hail, and opened his eyes to study them. A crescent of white horn, an oval of dark wood lying partly on top of the painted piper dancing on a piece of glazed white tile. There was a candle etched into an oblong stone, a disk of clay, the flat green stone he'd traded from the baker's boy. There was the galling, sun-bright bit of brass, and once again the one that very much looked like an old iron coin. There you go. A little bit of rune divination in there for you. But as you can see, Patrick Rothfuss just has a way with words. So if for no other reason, just to spend a little bit of literary beauty with him is a great reason to read this book. It is incredible. As I said, not my favorite Patrick Rothfuss, but you know, I love all of his stuff, so that is still highly recommend. Alright, so if you love this review, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more. I'll see you next time. I do about one book review a month, so stay tuned. Ta-ta for now.